All right, welcome to this webinar about resilience and building a resilient business. My name is Marc Jospitre. I am so happy to be sharing this information with you today with Rochelle Clark. Rochelle, thank you so much for joining me into this webinar. Rochelle and I have met over LinkedIn and we have decided to collaborate. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what are we going to talk about today?
Absolutely. Do you want to jump into the presentation already?
Do that.
So just a little bit about me. I am the CEO of a company, a business that's called Succession Strength. And what we do is we keep good businesses in business. And we do that through succession planning, of course, if it's family-owned businesses, but then also we work a lot with business continuity, on business continuity. So as you can imagine, at the moment, we're seeing lots and lots of interest in the work that we're doing around business continuity. I wrote a book a couple of years ago that's called The 5 Critical Succession Conversations. So communication is very, very big for me. And Forbes has invited me to speak on the write on the topic of business continuity. So we're going to have a lot of, well, hopefully fun today, sharing lots and lots of information that I hope that you find valuable. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit of psychology, not too much, just a little bit to set the tone. Yes, we must set the pace. And then we're going to have a look at what an unprepared business looks like. And then, of course, you know, the reason that you're all here, you're figuring out how to make your business more resilient given the current environment that we're working through. So hit it, Mark.
Excellent. Let me just want to make sure everything is in order right now.
I see are we on a private jet? Are you taking us on a private jet today, Mark?
We are taking you into a flight, and this flight basically is to be able to share with you. It seems I'm when I do this, can you see? Maybe you can write into the chat if you can see, because I have a signal here that says that you cannot see. So I don't know, but the idea behind this, let's see if people can see.
No, it says a gray screen.
No, gray screen. Why is this? The beauty of technology, you know?
Well, we are flexible and we are resilient, Mark. So that is quite okay.
That's not going to be a
No, maybe if we just put this to 100% instead of 67, then that may also do the trick. Yeah, absolutely. Can everyone see the slides?
Can you see that?
Yes, okay. Or maybe just a little bit smaller, Mark.
Yes, so we can see the entire slide.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, solutions, and that's what we're all about. Possibilities, solutions, positivity. Okay. So as we're about to jump in, what would Mike Tyson say? Well, I think if he's giving his opinion on this crisis, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And I'm sure that we all, when we said Happy New Year at the beginning of this year, we had fantastic plans for our businesses and for ourselves in terms of the goals we wanted to hit and the targets that we wanted to reach in 2020. Welcome, COVID. I think that's the punch that we all received in the mouth. And now we are left figuring out what to do, but there's a lot that can be done. So
this is one thing that I like about what you're going to talk about, because if you are not prepared, when you do get punched in the mouth, well, what do you do from there? And that's exactly what you're going to share with us today, right?
Absolutely. So first, we'll talk about the importance of business resiliency. We'll look at what an unprepared business looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit about what business owners are doing right now and what you can be doing right now for the benefit of your business. Okay, I love this slide. Business resiliency. What is it? What is it all about? Business resiliency is the act of protecting your business. Any shock that comes to a business can potentially derail the progress of that business. And as a result of it, it can take the resources away that are needed to grow the business. You're going to be spending quite a lot of time and resources in handling the shock as opposed to growing the business. So business resiliency is the act of protecting your business right? Or having a business that is protected from shocks. And these shocks can be minor, like an illness, it can be, an employee leaving, or they can be major, like a pandemic that we're living through right now that no one would have ever expected. But the question is, how can you protect your business so that it has as few shocks as possible, so that it's possible for this business to have many resources as possible to grow into the future? That's what resiliency is all about, the act of withstanding potential shocks to the business system. Oh, yes, a little bit of psychology. Always love this. But, if you're taking notes, this is definitely a place where you want to jot down some notes here. And we'll go into this famous American psychologist, Andrew Maslow. And this is a famous pyramid, and it's called a pyramid of needs. And it basically outlines what the basic needs of humans are, starting at the bottom of the pyramid. And this is in order of priority, going, down up. So at the base, this is the bare minimum that we need to survive as humans. These are our physiological needs, basic needs. We need food, we need water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. Going up to safety, then belonging, then self-esteem, then self-realization at the top of the pyramid. But if this presentation doesn't answer anything for you, you're going to get the answer to why so many people were stockpiling toilet paper, what it was so important about toilet paper during this crisis. Well, the answer is just there at the bottom of the pyramid. In times of uncertainty, in times of dis-ease in the system, the body naturally knows to go down, go back to basics. What does it take for me to survive as a living, breathing human being? That's the number one need that we have, right? And this is why this the bottom of the pyramid is so important. It is only until the needs at the bottom of the pyramid are fulfilled that we can then move up and then take another step up and then take another step up. So looking at the bottom of the pyramid, as you can see, one basic human function, food, yeah, but then we also need to get rid of the food. So there's the excretion, which is why toilet paper became such a big deal for so many people, and it seemed irrational at the time that people were stockpiling food and then toilet paper. But then as you can see, based on the pyramid, it goes down to a basic human need, right? And this is what I like to term flight to the base. Anytime there's any potential disruption or uncertainty, the body does an automatic check and it says, whoa, will I survive this? What do I need to survive? Go to the base. Do I have everything that's on the base? And then we go a step up and then a step up. So of course they were stockpiling face masks, of course, stockpiling hand sanitizer. That's up to the second level, safety, right? Then of course we're talking belonging. So you're talking how we're going to speak to our friends and family. And then, self-esteem and self-realization. So some of those things towards the top of the pyramid, as you can tell based on the news reports, have not really, turned the dial in terms of people going too crazy around them. But the bottom two are the ones where you see a lot of excitement. Food being stockpiled, of course, toilet paper, which I spoke about, hand sanitizer, medical masks, because the crisis that we're dealing with is medical in nature, so that safety, that personal safety, is a big deal. And then we move up the pyramid. But you might be wondering, what does this have to do with business resilience? Well, what I want you to do is figure out where your business stands in this pyramid. So are you a business that provides information or a service or a product that's towards the bottom of the pyramid, or closer to the top, or maybe someplace in the middle? That's going to be very, very critical when we get to the recommendations that we speak about a little bit later on. So figure out, is my business at the top of the pyramid or at the bottom of the pyramid? Where do I fall in the pyramid of human needs? Because what we're seeing right now is what I would call a perfect storm, right? So we have human beings there's the flight to the bottom of the pyramid, right? So folks who may have, been, very Zen yogis in their daily life, all of a sudden are saying, whoa, do I have what I need in order to survive? So let me shelf the yoga for a little bit. And do I have food? Do I have the basics? So there's a flight to the base. right? The second thing that we're dealing with in this perfect storm of events is government restrictions. So the governments in many, many countries, if you are in a country where your government has closed down businesses that are non-essential, if you can just let us know in the comment box by just typing yes. So that's the second element of this perfect storm. Governments all over the world have said, whoa, 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 whoa. Non-essential businesses need to close and only essential ones can be open, and perhaps they have stipulations for when and how those can open. All right. And then, of course, we have the third element of this perfect storm, which is customer spending restraints. So Gonzalo, you're in a country where where the government has put restrictions. Absolutely. And many of us are. We're also facing customer financial constraints. As you know, some people are losing their jobs. As a result of that, they may be pulling back on spending. So as a business owner, when you're talking about resiliency, this perfect storm has pulled together quite a number of elements that I'm sure no one could have orchestrated on their own. And this is what our fragile businesses are facing at the moment. So the question to you is, how resilient is your business when it came to coronavirus, at the start of the epidemic, and of course now, well, pandemic, I should say, and now when we are a little bit further along. So how resilient is your business? And now moving on to 9, a very famous quote, right? How resilient is your business when it comes to this storm?
I'm going to class with you. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Now, Warren Buffett, very, very famous investor. I'm sure quite a number of you know him. Very good and sage and wise advice. He has a very famous quote that's very timely and very applicable now. And it says, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. And in the context of this pandemic, this is a case where you see business owners and businesses that have been swimming proverbially naked in terms of they have not been protecting themselves. Their businesses have not been protected from eventualities like this, from unplanned events like this. But the question is, how do I identify a company that was unprepared for this? Well, I'll let you know. Well, a business continuity plan is put in place, and this is something that my company creates for other companies. A business continuity plan helps to protect the business from unplanned events. So whether it's the illness of a major person in the business, could be the owner. It can be the unexpected death of someone in the business, which is actually what happened in one of my family-owned businesses. It can be the unexpected departure of a key member of staff of one of the businesses or someone in the business. And these are unplanned events that can really wreak havoc on a business. So the question is, how do I know a business that did not have a plan in place to protect itself from unplanned events? Well, businesses that had a continuity plan, for those, you saw a very quick shift in operations. Leadership was on point, it was intentional, it came quickly, it was very prominent, very present. There was good communication, it was consistent, it was thorough and honest. So in the event that they didn't know what was happening, they communicated that. And this is communication to the employees, to members of staff, to customers, right? To creditors even. In these businesses, response times were good, right? So you send an email and you were able to get a response. Perhaps it was they were working on a solution. Once they got a solution, they let you know what that solution was. And then of course, flexibility. You've had some companies that automatically shifted and now they're, let's say, creating hand sanitizer or things like that, but they were able to shift their business models, right? So for those who had a plan in place, they didn't have to worry about the fundamentals of the business. Those were already taken care of. There were workarounds already in place for those. What that did, having such a plan in place, freed them up, business owners up. So they were then able to focus on the situation at hand and provide thoughtful, quick action in order to react to what was happening in the moment. So those without the business continuity plan found themselves now figuring out the fundamental workarounds. How are we going to work? Who says what? Who communicates? And as a result of that, communication may have been absent. I know there are probably some businesses that you have frequented whom you thought you were very close with, but you still haven't heard anything from them, no communication whatsoever. Perhaps the response times when you sent in a request didn't come, or they were very delayed. And those are probably business owners who are probably sitting on their hands, figuring out what to do in this scenario, what to do in this situation. So there's a delay in reacting to the situation. Those are businesses that were not prepared, right? Not really planning for unexpected events.
So in your experience right now, what is happening? What do you see maybe in your part of the world, or I know that you're working internationally. So what do you see is where the business sits in general, or like with the type of people that you are involved with?
I'm seeing business owners who are taking action. They're not sitting, they're not waiting. Yes, in a lot of cases, restrictions have not been lifted. But one thing they recognize, and this is what I want to state, when it comes to business, right? If you're not acting, your competitor probably is, which means that by the time you get the inspiration to take some action, it might be too late for you. There was a famous McKinsey study that was just released just a couple of weeks ago. And in it, they said that about 30 to 40% of customers are shifting, right? They're switching providers due to lack of availability of products or services that they usually support, right? So if you're not there on the scene, customers are going elsewhere. But then here's the kicker, Mark. The kicker is that the study also said about 12% of those that switched intend to stay with the new company. Which means that if you're a business owner who's been sitting on your hands waiting to figure things out or waiting for restrictions to be lifted, then what you're seeing is that your customer base, and anyone who has run a business knows the effort that it goes into getting a customer in the first place, your customer base may be whittling away, right? Right in front of your eyes, so to speak. So what I'm seeing is that business owners are saying, whoa, we're taking action. Even if the government is still shut down, we are thinking of ways that we can be flexible in order to put ourselves in the best situation as possible.
I have a friend, actually, what you're just sharing, which she's talked about her Indian coffee that she absolutely loved. And she's like, now I cannot find it anywhere. So probably the provider was not prepared to something like this, was not thinking, okay, if I don't have a supply from my normal supplier, where can I find it? And now all of a sudden, like, the customer cannot have access to their favorite coffee, and you've got to find a different provider. And if you find a different provider, what you're saying is 12% of the people will stay with that new provider and will never go back to the old one.
We'll never go back. No, because this is an opportunity for them to try new things, try new services. And, there was this famous song, what have you done for me lately? And, maybe some of the members here are familiar with it. And lots of consumers, and they could be your own business consumers, are asking themselves that same question, because they felt as though they had a much closer relationship and connection with some of these businesses. But as a result of this pandemic, they're recognizing, hey, business person, I thought you cared a little bit more about me, but it seems as though you didn't. And they're prioritizing those connections in many cases.
This is so interesting, because I would not, I mean, now that you're mentioning the numbers, like it comes to my mind, but I would have not expect the client to just, okay, you know what, I'm not going to go back. I understand the situation, I understand, but the fact that you were not prepared doesn't give me confidence. So it is a subconscious decision, which they don't necessarily realize, but because of this emotional impact, now they decide to move on and never come back.
Yeah, and then remember, we're creatures of habit sometimes, right? So if I had my favorite coffee, following your example, and now all of a sudden I have to try something else, first of all, to get over the barrier to try something different is usually difficult for a lot of customers. The fact that they made that step, a lot of them are finding that they actually like it. So for example, even the prospect of working from home. The biggest barrier for a lot of companies changing to a work from home environment was the barrier, the trial barrier. Nobody had a reason to do it in the first place. So it was, why should we do it then? But Corona has forced us all to do it, and lots of businesses are finding out, hey, this isn't so bad after all. So perhaps this is something that we continue long into the future. And of course, they're looking at the financial benefit of not having to rent office space and all of that. But a lot of them are thinking, hey, maybe it's good for a change at this point. Yeah.
This is so good. This is so good. So that is the question.
The question
How
is
prepared are you?
exactly.
How prepared were you, but how prepared are you now?
Exactly. We've had a couple of weeks in lockdown. So maybe initially some people were caught a little bit off guard, but the question is, well, what have you done since then? Are you still sitting? It's been at least 3 or 4 weeks, I think, going on. I think we started this mild lockdown in the middle of March. So at least 6 weeks here in the Netherlands.
Same thing here, 6 weeks that we are at now.
Right. So if you're still, as a business owner, sitting back trying to figure out what am I going to do? Well, you've had 6 weeks. So surely something in you is sparking some motion. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Very good quote from Lloyd Blankfein. He's from Goldman Sachs, formerly from Goldman Sachs. He said, people remember forever how you act in this critical time. We're going to get through this, and the reputation that you form during this time will stay with you forever.
I love this. I absolutely love this because it shows the character and the brand that you want to put out there. So as a business owner, it is extremely important, as what you're just sharing, to raise the bar while the time is not that good, because that is what people will remember.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They will remember that you went the extra mile for them, right? When perhaps no one else did. They will remember the little kindnesses, just the fact that you're there in some cases speaks volumes, right? So don't neglect this opportunity to really make that mark with yourself and with your brand. I know a lot of brands at the moment are going through it. I'll give you an example. United, the airline. They are an example of a company that had very good business continuity planning, because from the moment that they started making changes to travel plans, immediately I started getting emails from the president and CEO of United. Of course, I know they probably send this to millions of people, or at least hundreds of thousands of people, but it seemed relatively personalized. It said, okay, Rochelle, this is the situation, this is what we're doing, and it was a clear plan of action. So there was a situation of a leader taking charge of the situation and saying, this is our plan, this is how we will be taking care of you. And I felt that level of comfort and trust in that airline. Of course, other airlines followed through, and I was getting regular emails from them, but the communication kept up. Every 2 weeks, I would get an email. Now, I never knew who the CEO and president of United was, but now I do. Same for American, same for for a number of other companies. But the question is, in moments like these, it's the job of the leader to step forward, right, and take control of the situation. How you act will forever be remembered.
Wonderful.
So the next question is, well, what are business owners doing to prepare? Now, let me tell you, they're not sitting by idly. As I mentioned, at the moment, we're working with business owners on quite a number of things. One of them is communication. Communication, communication, communication. How do they ensure that they're reaching their customer base? Because a customer lost is so much more difficult to get back, particularly in these times. So you want to hold on to the customers that you have, help them as much as possible so that you can continue to have them in the future. So we're working on communication plans. What should they say? How should they say? And when should they say? And who should be speaking? Right? So communication. The next thing is planning. Companies without business continuity plans are coming to us to help put them in place. Those who had plans in place are updating their plans. Sidebar here about Wimbledon, right? Wimbledon is the famous tennis tournament that I'm sure we've all heard of. Now, they were in the news a couple of weeks ago because they are potentially going to receive about $121 million payout from their insurance company for pandemic coverage, right? This is something that they included in their insurance coverage a number of years ago after the SARS pandemic. Many people will call them lucky, but this was not luck. This was planning.
Preparation.
Right?
Exactly.
They recognized years ago that SARS or any other pandemic of its nature can wreak havoc on their business model. So they decided, let's include that coverage in our insurance policy. They did. Of course, they've been paying, let's say, $2 million in additional premium for it, but now they're reaping the benefits of that foresight, of that preparation. So we all at this moment have the benefit of living through a disruption. So we should be documenting how we intend to react. God forbid this were to happen in the future. The other thing that business owners are doing is planning their people strategy. A lot of the discussions that I had over the past 2 weeks have been, okay, Rochelle, I was expecting X or Y or Z employee to step up, but it seems as though they weren't able to. But I was really surprised because this other person who I had completely written off perhaps has really taken a very strong leadership role. So business owners are taking note of their people, that they're working with to come up with people strategies for after the pandemic restrictions have been lifted. So planning is something else that they're doing. Flexibility. Now let's talk a little bit about flexibility. At the beginning of the presentation, we talked about the pyramid and we talked about the flight to the base of the pyramid, human needs. One thing that we're working with businesses on is optimizing their business model, which means changing your business if you need to, basically, right? In order to survive, do you need to change? If you need to change, how do you need to change? So looking at this pyramid, one of the things I want to mention, very, very important, if you are a business that's at the bottom of the pyramid, you should be in a pretty good position, because what that means is that the customer demand, it's basic, that customer demand should be there, should be coming to you. If you're providing food, that should be coming to you. If you're providing medical gear or medical equipment that's geared to this particular pandemic, business should be booming for you, potentially, if you're doing the right things, right?
So psychology and safety right now, it's where the majority of the business is happening. This is where that people should be aware. And if you are in a business which has nothing to do with this, this is where you have to pivot and include something of that nature into your business, whatever that could be.
Exactly. So what we're, of course, it's business by business, but let me give you a few examples. What we're telling business owners is change your focus. Get to the bottom of the pyramid. Get to the base. All of your customers are doing it, right? They've all flown to the base of the pyramid. How can you get there too? You need to follow them. Either A, shift your business model so you're providing something that's on the bottom of the pyramid. There are lots of alcohol companies that have all of a sudden started producing hand sanitizer, right? You have all of these clothing companies that all of a sudden are producing face masks, right? What they're doing is saying, okay, our core business is not as relevant at the moment, but where the relevancy lies is at the bottom. How can we get there? So that's one way. Either A, you switch and you get there on your own. Number two, you can help businesses that are at the bottom of the pyramid. Find a way to help them. Amazons of the world, they can't keep up with the delivery demand. Supermarkets can't keep up with the online delivery demand. Is that a pivot that you can make? Do you have employees perhaps who can, assist in this area where you can perhaps, outsource some of their time to companies like this, right? So it's all about possibility. Once you open your mind to the possibility, and I can't wait for Mark's section about mental resiliency, but the options are there if you're open to them. Either A, you get there, or figure out how you can get there. You can help someone who's already there, right? You can figure out a way to perhaps partner with companies that are at the bottom of the pyramid. Let me give you an example. If you have a restaurant, right? Yes, I know restaurants are closed at the moment, but then that goes to, we'll talk about the government restrictions. Because in that case, it's less about changing your business model because you're already at the bottom of the pyramid, but it's changing your delivery method, right? So is it that instead of having a dine-in restaurant, you can do delivery, right? Is it that perhaps you were a high-end restaurant at the beginning? Well, that's a little bit more than basic, right? Maybe you were a high-end fine dining that sits closer to the top of the pyramid. And now your question is, whoa, I've lost all of my clientele. How do I get them back? Well, you need to figure out how to get to the bottom of the pyramid. So the question is, how can you change your delivery model? How can you look at your pricing, your promotion, the products that you're offering? Can you offer a value menu, right? That's a little bit lower in cost. So there are many, many things that you can do, but figure out a way to be playing at the base of the pyramid, because that's where all of the, as they say, action is at the moment. Now, if you're at the top of the pyramid, get to the bottom. If you're at the bottom of the pyramid and you're still suffering, well, let's go to the other two areas. Maybe you're at the bottom of the pyramid and you're saying, yes, but my business is closed due to government restrictions. Well, then the question is, can you change your delivery model, like I mentioned? Yes, of course, businesses are closed because they can't have that one-on-one contact. Mark, you had an excellent example about the hairdresser. Can you share that?
Yes, there's a friend of my wife, which she's a hairdresser, and she works with very high-end clients in Hollywood. And what she did is she did a listing of every single client that she had, and she took of the data that they had, so like hair color. And I know that the ladies, this is something, I mean, my wife is freaking out right now. As a man, you know, I'm gray and I'm embracing it. As a lady, maybe
Not
like
so
it
much,
doesn't
Mark.
work that well.
No, it doesn't.
So what she did is she created some packages, some kits, where that she got in contact with her client, and she sent the client is coming normally every 4 weeks or so. So she knew that. So what she did is she created those kits, and she was sending those kits to the client, and with a little explanation of how to do the treatment and how to color the hair. So even though that you're at home, even though that you're stuck, you still have the ability to look good, to feel good, to be feel decent. Because I think that this is one part that most of us are craving right now. It's like decency. You know, I want to feel alive. I want to feel that I'm not like a caveman.
Yeah.
So even though that now I'm growing the beard, but like that is what the customer wants. And when you get this type of attention, you have a client for life.
Absolutely.
Because as you just said earlier, is in times of crisis that the client will remember, and it will define your brand, it will define your business, it will define you for the future.
Exactly. It's such a great example. So there are opportunities out there, change your delivery model. And the next thing you're probably saying, if you're already at the base of the pyramid, like I said, get creative, get creative. But then you might be saying, but the customers don't have money because they're losing their jobs and, they have financial constraints. Not necessarily. Can you change your products in a way that meets their requirements, right? Can you offer more value products? Can you perhaps, create bundles, special pricing, etc. So there are many, many things that you can do. There are opportunities if you're looking for them. Of course.
I would like to add something into what you just said there. When you're thinking that the client doesn't and the customer doesn't have money, this is an assumption. Yeah. Because right now half the population is earning a lot of money because they are providing those services, they are producing those masks, they are creating sanitizer and those product which is in demand. Like if you talk about alcohol, but let's talk about like alcohol, like to drink. There's a huge race right now into their sales because people do not have anything to do. So they're buying wine, they're buying like spiritual, they're buying like beer, they're buying all kind of different drinks just to clear the boredom. I don't think that that's the right way, but that is what is happening. Yeah. So there's people which are earning a lot of money right now, So you cannot assume that everybody is flat broke and everybody lost their job and there's nobody buying. That, I believe that there's a part of the population which are buying right now. They are extremely happy to buy because that fulfill one of the needs. So they feel that they're getting out of that bottom of the pyramid by consuming. This is
Yes.
one of their strategy.
Indeed. And that's such a great, great, great tip, Mark. It's an assumption. So there are opportunities out there, right, for so many businesses. So don't sit back and assume that, oh, because of this and oh, because of that. No, 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 no. Get out there and try something. Make a quick decision and act. It's the companies that go out there boldly during this time. Those are the ones who end up winning. And in some cases, acquiring the smaller companies that decided to not act during this time. So, but of course, some are taking a look at their cash, so they're spending, but they're spending wisely. And then taking a look at their values. Are they operating in line with their stated values? Are they doing what they said, in their glossy mission statement on the website or in the glossy brochure? Are they doing those things? And then if they're not, it's figuring out, okay, why not? And then we'll have to work after the restrictions lift to figure out how we can get into better alignment. But then the question to you is, what actions are you taking now for your business to make it even more resilient? All right. So that was it for the business resiliency side of the house. Of course, if you found this valuable, let's connect. Check out the website, www.successionstrength.com. You can send us an email, info@successionstrength.com. Happy to work with all the business owners to figure out, how we can really survive this and get to the next level. Give us a follow on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Mark, how do I get a resilient mind? Yeah.
I love this part because what you're sharing is, I mean, first of all, this niche that you put yourself in is very interesting because you need to have this in your business. You need to have that strategy in your business. And I love your story when you said that, it happened in my own family and I was like just caught off guard and I just realized, oh my God, if something happened, then what? Mm-hmm. So I would like you to share maybe a little bit of that so that people can really understand the importance of, I mean, they are right in it right now. If you have a business, you're in it, but the importance of planning beforehand.
Absolutely. So my personal story, and this is actually the reason that I ended up starting the business. A number of years ago, I was in corporate life, living, doing, quite well and enjoying it. But I found myself flying home from a family funeral. And the situation was that the owner of one of the businesses in the family passed away. His daughter, who was preparing to take over the business from him, was not there yet. So she wasn't fully prepared to take over the business. So we found ourselves in a situation that I would not recommend or wish for anyone. At the same time that we were planning a funeral, we were also planning how to keep this business afloat because this business provided for the family. It was not a very good situation to be in. I found myself flying home from the funeral, frantically putting a business continuity plan in place because that's what I had been doing in my corporate life and I could have done them in my sleep. So I was putting one together. And then I said, you know what? Actually, there are lots of businesses, family-owned businesses as well. Well, that was the situation in my case, who are so vulnerable due to unexpected events. So yeah, somebody should help them. Somebody should be doing this for them. And it was one of those ideas when I said, oh yeah, but somebody out there I'm sure is handling it. So yeah, and I went back to life. But it was this idea that kept with me and kept with me and kept with me. And then I had to kind of face things, and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm setting out to help businesses really stay in business because it takes so much once you have a business to grow it to a level that it's able to provide for you and for your family. How do we keep them in business? And this is when I decided, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I will be helping families in business as well as entrepreneurs. But in my business, there must be an element that speaks to business continuity. I will not start the business unless this is actually a service that we provide. So we have done that. And I think years later, now, of course, we're seeing the importance of it. I think for the first time in my life, Mark, I don't have to explain what business continuity is. When I'm speaking to clients, they kind of get it very quickly because of Corona and COVID, you know? So that's my...
I would have loved to know this before.
Yeah, yeah.
This is where people are right now with this idea, and that is transiting to what I will talk, because for you to be able to continue in business, you need to have a mindset, the proper mindset. And in business, it's like we have a saying that it all starts with your mindset. I'll give you statistics, which it might shock you. Some will think that is outrageous, but when you really start thinking about it, you will see how powerful and how important your mindset is, especially in a situation like a crisis like we're experiencing right now. So in my case, my name is Marc Jospitre. I am the founder and chairman of Marc Jospitre Consulting, and I've studied communication. I've done radio, television, and I am an author of the book 100 Million Possibilities, which basically talks a little bit about all of that information I will talk with you today. I'm doing keynote presentation live normally. Now I'm speaking online. I do sales training, and I'm part of an organization which is called Proctor Gallagher Institute, which we are utilizing a methodology which are coming from 150 years of knowledge have helped business owners and entrepreneurs to earn millions of dollars. So what I'm going to talk about today is the importance of your mindset, the order that you need to have, and how to create a quantum leap ritual. And I really love this. This is something I'm utilizing every single day, and it really helps you to stay in control and have order. The mind is the greatest power of all of creation. I love this quote from Dr. J.B. Ryan, which was a professor at Duke University in North Carolina. And what they were doing is, Duke was in North Carolina, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, is that? Yes.
It is,
yes. And what was happening there is that he was working with the mind. He was one of the first one to do study on the mind and really creating some crazy study, like, and helping NASA to truly understand how the astronauts can use this. For example, if you are into a G-force and the blood is all coming to the brain, and there's so much blood in your brain that you start having headaches, and then you start like wanting to pass out. But with the power of the mind, you can start really releasing the pressure that you had on your blood vessel, so that the blood can start getting out of your brain. So this is how far those studies were. Like they were, I mean, I'm not going to go in details, but some studies I would tell you about and you would just like, no, it's impossible. But they had like datas on it. So where that brings us, and this is what I want to discuss with you, is we have a statistic that says 95% is mindset, 5% is strategy. Now you need both. So what Rochelle just talked about having a strategy and a continuity plan for your business and all of those things is essential. But having that and not having the proper mindset, it's not going to work. So there's so much importance into how we think and the attitude that you have. And we could ask what is attitude? And you would have probably 100 different answers from 100 different people. People do not really know the importance and what really means to have a good attitude. And the attitude that you have, for example, with this crisis, will most likely determine the outcome that you will experience and what will happen out of this. So I see a lot of people that are saying and are watching the news, and they are feeding themselves with information which is not necessarily helping them to think properly. And they start they start having this controlling the way they feel. So their
But
attitude.
Mark, what would you
Yes.
recommend when it comes to news coverage? Because I know that for some people it's better to just shut the news off completely. But if I want to protect my mind in a positive space, what do you recommend?
Like this is a great question, because like in our family, in my household, we're not watching it at all. Zero. Like I'm not aware about what's happening. I go to social media, and the news finds you. Like this is
Yes,
what I realized. So I came to the realization now that the information I need to know will come,
yes.
but I do not consume news on my own will. Now, if you cannot do that, what I would recommend you to do is to utilize and to block half an hour during your day. And you say, okay, like, I like this channel, which whatever channel that you like, whatever news broadcast, whatever political party that you are involved with, use that, block half an hour. You will get everything you need to know there. And from that, then you are moving on, and then you move with going back to your attitude, because your attitude will dictate your life. There's a professor from Harvard University, William James. It says the greatest discovery of my generation is human being can alter their life by altering their attitude of mind. Now, that is in the beginning of the 20th century, not 21st century, 20th century. So in the beginning of the 1900s. And it's still up to date now. So you can change your entire life by changing how you think, like what your attitude is. So I really want you to take a moment and really focus and really ask yourself, what is my attitude? And attitude is a composite of what you think, okay? The first part. How you feel, that's the second part. And your actions, that's the third part. If you're missing one of those three, you do not have a good attitude. Mm-hmm. And this shocked me the first time I heard that, because I always thought that I was someone that was thinking positively. And I remember once my boss was saying to me, it's just, you don't have a good attitude. And I was just like, no, but I'm thinking positively. What do you mean I don't have a good attitude? But now when I learned this, I realized he was right, because you can have good thoughts, but emotionally you're totally all over the place, 6 ways to Sunday. So your action will not be aligned. So you will not be able to really maintain a good attitude. So one thing that I would recommend is really to pay attention into the thoughts that you're entertaining, which normally you have a direct response with how you feel. The way you feel is kind of the central point. So your feeling is an indication of your thoughts, and your feeling will charge your action. So if you don't feel good, I promise you, you don't have a good attitude. If you feel good, probably you do have a good attitude. So that is the way to determine if your attitude is in line with what you want. And normally, like, all this goes with your goals, right? We need to know where we're going. So your attitude is key. You've got to really have a stealth attitude. You've got to really have an ironclad attitude. Like it's something which is so important. And a lot of people are saying that your attitude will determine ultimately your results. So I really recommend you to pay attention to this.
And just for those listening on, feel free to put questions in the chat box. We'll be monitoring, because I know that this information is so rich. Every time I listen to Mark, I have my pen nearby to make notes.
And it goes fast. I can understand that. I love this quote from Genevieve B. Rand. Order is heaven's first law. Now think about the ramification of that. Now, if you want to live a heavenly state, if you want to live a heavenly life, you need to have order. And order starts from what you're thinking. But there's laws that exist. And I will take one law that most of us are familiar with, which is the law of gravity. You will not go on the roof of your house right now and you say, nah, you know what, today I feel that I'm not gonna respect gravity. You know, I'm just gonna start flying. Like, we will not do that consciously because we know what will happen, right? And we know this because there's multiple things that happen in our life which we experience gravity. You know, we might have felt like you were running and then you just tripped and now you fell, hurt yourself. That was gravity at work. Now there's other laws in place. And when you understand how those laws work, this is how truly you can start controlling your life. And one of those laws that I want to talk, which Emerson says, this is the law of law, is the law of cause and effect. Your work is to really focus on the cause. So to have a resilient mindset, to have a resilient business, your goal and your work needs to be on the cause. Don't worry about the effect. The effect always takes care of itself. And if you start thinking about it, the way that we've been programmed says, oh, I need to have good bottom line. I need to have, like, you know, good numbers. I need to sell. I need to do this. I need to have results. But all this will happen if you take care of the cause, which the cause in business is service. Now think about it. If you are right now in this situation, taking care of your clients, taking care of providing service in this crisis, what the client will remember is that you were there. What the client will remember is, like, you know, he was present. He did send me an email. He did send me a card. It did send me a gift. It did send me a little kit. And the client will be with you forever, just because that you were taking care of the cause. Now, there's other laws, which I'm not going to go in details into this, but that law of cause and effect to me is so important. And it goes as well with what you're thinking, right? So you want to have, like, those, you probably heard about affirmation. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming from sales. So affirmation, the good salespeople were always having some. And the one that was not so good was kind of laughing about this. Well, there's a reason why they were laughing about it. And there's a reason why they were not so good. So you've got to affirm that in this time, like, what is it that you want? You want to utilize the cause. So you're repeating to yourself, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to work this all going to work for me. I'm going to get exactly what the good things for my business. My business is going to continue to grow. So the more you're getting emotionally involved with what you want to get out of this, the more you will see that you will build that right confidence because you're thinking properly. So it's going to make you feel properly. Don't worry about the results. If you're focusing on results right now, this is the wrong approach. And I see so many business right now, which, and you might be aware of that. And I want you, Rochelle, to just think and see if it's happening and if you see that. But you remember all of those people on social media, which they have those funnel and they funneling you. And I mean, they're spending tons of money in marketing, and you see, and then all of a sudden, like, you want to go into a video and then you want to buy this and that and that. What will happen with those guys, which the only thing that they were really always focused on was to sell.
End result. Yeah.
Not for the service.
No. No.
Right?
Not at all.
So, like, do we see, like, I don't see them that much anymore.
No, and it's because, you know, just as customers and consumers are getting wise to it. And now that we're in a stage where we're saying, wait a minute, what role do you actually play in my life? What service are you providing for me? How are you really benefiting me? right? We're having lots of people, even for myself, as you look at your different people whom you support, those are some of the thoughts that are on top of your mind. And if there are companies that don't fulfill that basic need or really are not adding so much value, those typically are the ones that are first to get cut. Sad, but
Exactly.
that's the reality.
Well, this is what we're going to see as well. There's going to be a iteration of everything that you see on social media, and only the people which have been extremely service driven. And this is something that I cannot stress more. Your entire philosophy, and Rochelle talked about value earlier. I personally believe that this is a perfect time to reevaluate what type of value do you want to have in your business, because you might want to be a service driven type of company instead of being a result driven type of company. And what you're going to get out of this is, ultimately, you cannot do any other thing but succeeding, because people will follow that trend. Service right now is what will make you win. I was talking to a colleague of mine today, and he was saying, and he works in a different field that I work, but he works with reconciliation and family and all those things. And right now, having the kids at home, and maybe the husband, which was always traveling, now everybody's confined in between four walls, which they never experienced that before. So imagine the amount of tension that can happen in some of the families. And he's like, this is crazy what is occurring right now. And he's like, I decided I'm going to provide service to those guys. I'm not going to charge anything. What I will do is I will put a donation. I will put a donation button, and people can pay whatever they want. It's like, I'm earning so much money through this, and I'm not asking anything. But people see the value. They understand that this is a great benefit that they are getting out of it, and they're ready to pay. And for the person that normally would not be able to afford that, now all of a sudden it is affordable. So you can reach so many people this way, which you never thought about it. And that is because you're changing your value, which you're coming from a service driven instead of being a result driven. And now all of a sudden, like, you're shifting and you're adapting to this new economy, which makes it absolutely phenomenal. And think about what you could do in your business that you could be of service to the community and the world right now.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, absolutely good story. I'm absolutely mesmerized when you speak about this, because I think you're absolutely right, Mark. I think it comes down to service, and I've seen so many service providers who have opened the doors to their own businesses to kind of say, listen, whoever wants it can have it for free, right? And they're just taking the approach that people need help, they're able to help, and they're willing to help. And those are the ones where at the end of the day, they see an absolute rush of attention, just because people are saying it's such a kind thing to do. And, people like to do business with nice people, so.
Yeah, I mean, if I choose, I would rather do some business with people which are nice, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you think about the upside that you're going to get out of a strategy like that, I believe that this is absolutely phenomenal, and you can create so much good out of it, and good for your community, good for your audience, which now we have to talk about audience, because like we all are working with online, but as well your email list, your client list. Like, get in touch with them, make sure that they know that now you're changing your values, if that's something that you want to share. But I believe that you should share this, because they will understand and they will appreciate that, and they will know they will come to you. and they will say, you know what, I really love this, I want to work with you. So, and this is where that you need to be using your mind, you need to be using your imagination. There's so many things that you can be doing right now. But
Absolutely.
if you're staying into no, like, you know, I have my strategy, I'm not going to move from this, you're forgetting that mindset, which is key, because everything starts with you.
Mhm.
Now, you cannot solve your problem. I love this quote from Einstein. You cannot, or we cannot solve our problem with the same thinking we use when we created them. Now, think about it. If you are utilizing a strategy right now which is not working, now this is a problem, right? So if you're continuing thinking the same way, another quote that Einstein said, it says, like, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. You don't want to be insane right now into this new economy. And this new economy is real, and it's probably going to continue. So you've got to adapt. And the funny part is, into the program that we are teaching, we have that in our program, which started years ago. We were talking about a new economy long time ago. So if you're not having a business resiliency, if you're not having a mindset, a resilient mindset, now you're caught with your pants down. So now it's time as well to respond. You don't want to react, because people which are reacting, they're the one which are panicking. They are the one which are doing rash move, like they are not, that's totally irrational what they're doing. You want to respond. So you want to take a moment, you want to think, you want to take a step back, you want to start evaluating, okay, so what is our best course of action? What should we do which we can pivot and start changing the way that we approach our business and start offering a service which is going to be at the bottom of that pyramid? Because we're going to be here right now, like, based on the information I have, we're going to be here for probably another couple months, like probably until the end of the summer.
Absolutely. I agree.
So before everything like comes to normal, whatever normal is going to be, that's going to be until the end of the summer, September. Like, there's some people that say, like, you know, Australia, I have friends all over the world. And so I have a good pulse on what's happening and what people can do and cannot do. Australia cannot fly until November, as of today.
Wow.
Like, they have a ban on flight. They cannot get out of the country right now. So imagine like, how do you operate into this new economy, new world? So stop thinking the way you were thinking. It's obsolete, which I love. This is another quote from Buckminster Fuller. You need to create a new model that makes the other model obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start doing this, it's amazing the result that you will experience.
But
Now,
isn't it, how does one do? Oh, I love this. Okay, the quantum leap ritual. I was going to ask, how do I change? How do I change, you know, from one model to the next?
Yes. This is what we're going to do. Is I'm going to give you first this 12 minutes daily exercise that you can really implement, and this will help you tremendously. As I mentioned, this is something that I do twice a day, morning and night. And it helped me to stay in control. It helped me to stay focused on my goal, focused on my mission, focused on the service I want to provide. And I suggest you to take notes on this and to really implement that, because it works every single time. Now, that you want it or not, you are utilizing this formula all the time. But most of us are utilizing the wrong way for the things that we don't want. And the things that you don't want comes into your experience because we're thinking in picture. Right? When we say that the mind is the greatest power of all of creation, if you're really attentive and if you're observant, you will see that the thing that you think about all the time become your reality. Not today,
That's so true.
But it could be in a month, 2 months, 2 years, maybe 20 years. It doesn't really matter. But the things that you are continuously entertaining in your mind will come into your reality. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to be sick, 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 what you're saying is like sick, sick, sick. This is the only thing that your mind is hearing. It doesn't hear, I don't want to. Okay? What you have to say instead is, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. And you cannot be any other thing but being healthy. Okay? So that 12 minutes ritual, which I absolutely love. The first thing is you got to relax. Our body is a vessel, and there's energy which is flowing to and through all the time. Like we live into an ocean of motion. There's energy flowing around us all the time. If your body is tense, the energy cannot flow as freely as it wants. So it's very difficult for your mind to operate if you're tense. So to relax is extremely important. And there's all kind of different ways that you can do. The best ways is to breathe deeply. Like I suggest you, if you have hard time to relax, take 10 deep breaths, right? You breathe by the nose, you exhale by the mouth, and you just like feel your lungs, and you hold it for a second, and then you release it until that you can almost not, like, you know, you feel, okay, I need to take air now. When you're doing this, like basically, and focusing on your breath, what it will do is it cannot be any other things but relaxing and focusing on your breath. So that's the first thing. Second, I want you to trace a picture of what your success for you would represent with your finger. So you see behind me, there's like, I'm in a private jet virtually. And this is because I love traveling. So it puts me into this great vibration, this great emotion, and I absolutely love this. So a picture for me could be a private jet, right? So you can draw this into your mind, and you draw this with your finger. What would your success represent? For you, it could be a yacht. It could be your dream home. It could be a diamond ring because you want to get married. It could be whatever, right? But trace that and really see it in the screen of your mind. Why do you think we do that? Because we're thinking in picture. So creating that picture, it's amazing. And as well, what you're doing when you're doing it with your finger is you are creating out of nothing. Okay, so there's a lot of power. So you do this with eyes closed. Then you should affirm. So you want to do an affirmation. You want to do a out loud. You want to read your goal. So like one way that we do our goal is like, I'm so happy and grateful now that blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you want to read your goal and really see it in the screen of your mind. Then you're going to enter into a meditation, a visualization, a prayer, whatever stroke you, like use that. And you're going to really get there for 10 minutes, no more. And see yourself in that picture that it's already happened. So in this case, that could be like, you know, your business is struggling right now, and you want to see a resolution. You want to see yourself having customer which are coming, having clients which are calling, people which are ordering, and you don't have to be on the phone. You don't have to talk to anybody. People are buying on your website, and you just, oh my God, like, you know, this is so cool. I'm selling, and the only thing that you have to do is like just see the money coming and providing the service. Okay, but see this like it already happened. You need to feel that it's happening in your being, in every cells of your body. Now you're gonna get some insights. You're gonna get some words that's gonna come. You're gonna get some people you need to call. You're gonna get ideas. This is the key. You need to act on those insights. Okay. So when you receive an insight, that's something you must take. So take a note on the insight. And then number 6, you want to repeat that. I am making a quantum leap. I know exactly where I'm going, and I'm open to the unexpected. There's so much power into this, because when you declare, I know exactly where I'm going, now you have this clear picture. You have this clear vision. You have this clear path. And more you repeat this, the more you're gonna have this coming into your life. And then take the date. Write the date of your entry on your insight and that you've done it today. So
now,
today is,
would you recommend if we type it in? Because everybody, I think we're now glued with our phones to our hands these days, or is
no,
Mm-hmm.
no. Like this is something that I love when my clients are asking me this, because like everybody is like there's a ritual of stopping and thinking about what you're grateful for, because gratitude it's changing. And there's experience which have been done on this. Gratitude boosts your immune system, and it's proven. So when you do your gratitude, and we recommend that you write it down, like, and people asking, oh, can I write it on my computer, on my tablet? It's like, no, I want you to write it on a piece of paper with a pen, because what you're doing is you're creating out of nothing. Like the sheet of paper was white, and now all of a sudden you start like forming words, which is creation. So when you're declaring what you're grateful for and you write it down, it is so powerful. Same thing with a date, right? When you're writing, okay, this is my insight. I got as an insight blue, which that could be just one word, blue, right? And just like, that doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it. You don't know how this works. We live in a world that we don't understand. And I'll give you an example. I had an insight, which I got the title of a book, which came after my meditation. And I was like, interesting. And I thought that was for something. And I remember a story in the book, which was talking about, like, banging your head on the wall. And I was like, okay, like maybe I need to change my strategy. I don't know. 3 days later, a friend of mine get in touch with me and talk to me about something that same author was talking about in another book. And it became so clear, just, oh, this is why I had that insight the first day. So don't question why the insights are coming. You don't know. It will be revealed to you when you're ready. And this is the beautiful thing about faith. And by the way, faith has nothing to do with religion. Religion took the word faith and used faith as a driver for their dogma. And I'm not like against any religion or anything like that. But faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe in the incredible, and that will permit you to receive what the mass consider as impossible. This is where you need to have faith into why you're receiving that insight at that moment, and why you're not receiving the full, complete spec of what you should be doing. So I recommend you to do this exercise. It is so powerful. This will help you tremendously, and you will see, you will start getting results. You will start feeling in control. You will start moving like towards the direction that you want. And people is going to look at you. It's going to like, why are you so happy? Why, like, what's happening right now? I mean, like, your business is not open and all this, but you know exactly where you're going. And that's the beauty about this quantum leap ritual. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's so incredible. You know, since we did our last session together, I started doing it. So I'm so excited and interested and very energized around it. Of course, you know, on for our listeners, if you have any questions, I think this is the time to send them across. But let me ask you this, Mark: do you ever go back through your insights and
Yes.
reflect on them?
Yes, this is something that you should do. You should be doing. Like, you know, I would say I would recommend you maybe once a week, you go back into like seeing what you wrote the week prior, because like what it's gonna do is gonna pump, it's gonna pop some ideas. It's just like, oh, like I because like now you're evolving every day your awareness is expanding, every day you are getting more insights, right? So what you wrote the previous week might be now relevant to where you are right now, and what you wrote like 2 weeks prior, it might be relevant. So you should go back like regularly and see, and you will know when you have to go back as well.
Yeah,
That is an
okay.
insight. Oh, I should go back. So, oh, okay. Now you're getting the insight that go back because there's something that it will come together now.
Wow, this is so powerful, Mark. You know, I think that, you know, the mind, everything that you say in terms of ensuring that you have a mind that's protected, right? To kind of see you through and see things through to the next level. I think it's so critical and so important. And, you know, along the way, we've been hearing about how important the mind is. But in the information that you're sharing and everything, yeah, we're seeing it even more and more. Some of these insights are not new today to our existence today. They've been in existence for centuries, you know. So really happy that you're able to bring them all together in such a way. But how can our listeners work with you some more, Mark?
Well, what I suggest you to do is to get in touch with us if you found this valuable, obviously. I want you to connect. I want you to, like, we have our website, which is marjospitre.com. You can write us an email, and I'm on every single social media that you can find. We even started TikTok now. I have
Oh,
no idea how it works. I'm totally lost with this. I see all those videos and so like, how I'm gonna do that? But I love to put myself on the challenge. So we're gonna start like doing something on TikTok as well. So let you need to have fun with social media. You know, don't take yourself too much seriously in there. Um, I believe if you have fun, especially for the people which, you know, are new to this new way of operating, and you're just like, oh my God, how I'm gonna do that, and I don't know, I'm not used to social media. Uh, Somehow, if you want to continue doing business, you have no choice. That is what you have to do. So don't let the train passing by, right? Get involved with the social media. Make sure that you're enthused about it, and that you are creating this connection with your audience. I love one thing that one of my mentors told me once. It was watching the Academy Award, or was it the Golden Globe, like one of the music show. I'm not watching TV on this. And he said, you know, that was a band which was there, and then the crowd was going absolutely ballistic. And it's just I never heard that name of that band. I mean, no clue where they were, but there was so many people which was like wow and going crazy. And it's just like, oh, I understand that everybody has their fan base.
yes.
So imagine that. Imagine if you come from this standpoint. Even you have your fan base.
Yeah.
So you could be totally new to social media. There's people out there that would absolutely love what you do. They would love to hear from you. They would love to buy your product. They would love to encourage you. But you have to have that trust and believe in yourself that you can do it. And all this comes from the mindset. So just to make sure that you had the chance to take notes on that, like just get in touch with us, Mark with a C, jospitre.com, or go on the social media. You're going to find us there.
Excellent. Are there any questions from the audience?
They're very quiet.
So I hope that, they found this interesting. Of course, they can get in touch with any additional questions if they occur. And we will be sending out the recording a little bit later on, are we, Mark?
Yes, we will. We will send you the recording so you can play with it. You can really like enjoy this and see like how that you can implement those things in your life. Remember, like the mind, we just scratched the surface right now. We can go so much deeper. There's so much layers on this, and well, that's what creates your results. So you should be very attentive of the way you're thinking, like how you're thinking, and what you're feeding yourself. No, you wouldn't feed yourself with poison. So why are you poisoning your mind watching the news all day long?
Mhm. Yeah, that's such a good point. Such a good point. Okay, so I think it's time that we can round this out. So any final words from your part, Mark, so that you want to leave the audience with?
Well, I would say this: we're gonna get out of this, right? So you want to keep a positive mental attitude. You want to see the upside on this. This may be the most beautiful disguise crisis that you've seen. That's an opportunity in disguise. When I say the most beautiful, like I mean that's an opportunity. Like you decide what you want to get out of it, and if you are maintaining that mindset, you will see something good's going to happen for you.
Yeah,
How about you, Rochelle? What would you like to leave the audience with?
that's fantastic. I think I'd like to continue on the train of thought that you just led with. Once you have that mindset of anything is possible, and once you approach this with that positive mindset, then you can work miracles in your business. Now, like we were explaining, there's some businesses that are doing really, really well right now, and there are others who just haven't figured out the way to get there. But it comes down to the mind. With that willingness, you're able to pivot, you're able to ensure that you are at the bottom of the pyramid where all of the gold is, or at least figuring out some way to get yourself to that position. So with a strong positive mind, you will be able to positively influence your business.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.